he gonna get caught. He'll pop out on you. He get there too quick.
That is, if I'm not mistaken, a 92-pound weight difference. Almost a 100-pound weight difference. It's insane. Let's say he comes in at 200 pounds. It's still a 65-pound weight advantage, which is absolutely ridiculous. How can you be out there claiming to want to fight the best people on the planet?
Boxing experts are strongly advising Jake Paul to reconsider a potential matchup with Gervonta "Tank" Davis. Recent training clips of Davis highlight his incredible hand speed, power, and technical precision. Analysts warn that, despite the size difference, facing someone of Davis's caliber carries serious risks, not only to Paul's safety but also to the sport's credibility. They stress that Davis is far more than just quick and explosive. His ability to set traps and apply pressure makes him a dangerous opponent, especially if Paul underestimates him.
Quite surprised because it sounded like Jake Paul and Joshua was getting closer and closer to January. However, there have been rumours of Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul in the past. I think with Gervonta Davis's kind of legal problems in the last month or so and rumours about his retirement, I don't think it's a massive shock that he is taking this Jake Paul fight if it is going to go ahead, purely for the reason that it's a lot of money for maybe not the most difficult job that he's going to have in his career. So it's a strange one, but yeah, it's just another kind of day in the sport, really, isn't it?
Promoter Eddie Hearn has voiced strong concern about Jake Paul stepping into the ring with Gervonta Davis. According to Hearn, the matchup is dangerously one-sided and could put Paul at serious risk. While acknowledging the huge commercial draw such a fight would bring, Hearn cautioned that Paul needs to be careful what you wish for. He stressed that beyond wins and losses, Paul's health and safety could be on the line if this bout were to happen.
I think he's extremely dangerous for Jake Paul. You know, I've got the general feedback is the boxing world saying, please AJ, go in and evaporate this young man from the boxing world so we can all get on as normal. You've got Jake Paul fans thinking bizarrely they can beat Anthony Joshua. And the most bizarre thing out of everything is that Jake Paul genuinely believes he will beat Anthony Joshua. I think that's the only reason we're going to see this fight, but I truly believe you're going to see it at the beginning of 2026.
Daniel Cormier offered a balanced yet pointed critique of Jake Paul's decision to pursue a fight with Gervonta Davis. While giving Paul credit for his promotional success and growing credibility, highlighting partnerships with platforms like Netflix, Cormier couldn't ignore the obvious size disparity. He reminded fans that Davis, who weighed just over 133 pounds in his most recent outing, would be going up against Paul, who fights close to 200 pounds. In Cormier's view, Davis clearly has the superior boxing skills, but the weight gap creates complications for both men. A loss for Paul could destroy his momentum, while Davis would face embarrassment if he struggles against someone so much larger.
When a disruptor challenges a legend, guys, anything can happen. When a kid that was on YouTube and on Disney walked in there and said, I'm going to be a professional boxer, Jake Paul needs to be commended for that. He had a vision, and he honestly executed that vision better than anyone ever could have expected. But sometimes you want something so badly that you don't recognize the dangers that come with wanting that thing and then getting that thing. Now Jake Paul has gotten himself to a point where he's fighting someone that could truly end his career. Mike Tyson. We're talking about one of the scariest, most dangerous fighters to ever step foot in the squared circle. For me, it's pretty simple. Jake Paul, in the Mike Perry fight, he got a great appetizer for what he will get in the main event. A fighter that starts very fast, that throws things to take your head off, and you have to kind of match the intensity to ultimately get your shots off.
Jake Paul today announced that he has signed with the PFL. A couple weeks ago, Jake Paul and I were messaging each other about an appearance on my show, DC and RC. Just kind of talking about his future. And honestly, Jake and I have had some run-ins. When I started talking to him and I'm messaging him, he's a kid that's very respectful. And we had respectful conversations. He has an idea what he wants to do. Now, these kids today are different, right? So he's very boisterous, he's very verbal. He speaks big. But will Jake Paul actually fight in the PFL? A lot of boxers say they're going to fight, but they never actually do. Here's the thing about Jake Paul, though. He's from Ohio. Ohio has some of the best high school wrestling. Jake Paul was a high school wrestler there. So was his brother, Logan. They weren't bad. I believe this one, he'll actually fight.
Former super middleweight champion Carl Froch has raised serious concerns about the safety implications of a potential Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis matchup. Froch pointed out the massive size gap. Paul usually fights around 200 pounds, while Davis competes at 135. While Davis is undoubtedly the more skilled boxer, Froch warned that Paul's sheer size and punching power could put Davis in real danger, noting that Davis has never had to absorb shots from someone that big. To Froch, the fight feels less like a true contest and more like a spectacle, with both legitimacy and fighter safety under heavy scrutiny.
My name was mentioned at his press conference and he shit himself, and the fight was just absolutely fucking diabolical. Again, I've said before, he's not a professional boxer, he never will be, and he proved time and time again that he's not a professional fighter. So, Jake Paul, go on, piss off.
I mean, I don't really take Jake Paul that serious. He can't really box. He can have a little fight, he can have a swing. He swings away, he stands up straight and he throws punches, but it's not professional boxing. Because when I watch him box, there's just so much wrong. It's just everything's wrong. It's so bad. He's got leaky defence. He telegraphs his punches. Like, you put him with someone his own size. It was a professional. It's a mismatch. And you'll see that if he ends up fighting somebody. Tommy Fury, bless him. He's a pro boxer, but he's inexperienced. He's got no amateur pedigree. He's a raw novice, or maybe just above the raw novice. I was saying earlier, where would I put him in terms of levels? He'd do well to win a British title. He's at that sort of level, and then from British title to world level, it's like different worlds. It's like totally different. It's like a different sport.
Just here at Los Naranjos in Viva, España, and I found out that Gervonta Davis is now fighting Jake Paul. So Jake Paul was supposed to be fighting AJ. Eddie Hearn announced 99% done, which we just spoke about. What's next for AJ? Potentially Jake Paul. But it now looks like that Jake Paul is fighting one of Anthony Joshua's legs. He's fighting Gervonta Davis, somebody who's a quarter of his size. I don't even know what's going on. Has Eddie Hearn been played? Let me know what you think. But the AJ fight with Jake Paul's finished. Gervonta Davis, fake Paul, November. I don't know what's going on in the world of boxing. This is an absolute joke. What next for AJ? We'll get into this, and there's so many questions I want to get into in the next episode. But hope you enjoyed this one. And yeah, just thought I'd give you a quick update because the news has just come in. I'm just trying to relax and play a bit of golf, and I can't. I've got to get it off my chest, and then I add it to this video. Hope you enjoy it. Don't forget, if you haven't already, hit like, share, and subscribe to the best channel in the business, Fresh on Fire. We'll see you very soon.
Ryan Garcia didn't hold back when reacting to talk of a potential Paul versus Davis fight, blasting the idea as completely insane. He argued that matchups like this strip the sport of its authenticity, comparing modern boxing to scripted entertainment rather than real competition. Garcia warned that such spectacles risk turning the sport into something closer to WWE than legitimate boxing, ultimately damaging its credibility and making it harder for fans to take it seriously.
Today we're going to talk about the boxing world and another fight that Jake Paul just booked for his joke of a career against a 65-plus smaller guy than him in Gervonta Davis. Jake Paul is a circus sideshow for low IQ incels. Nobody should be falling for this carny bullshit about him being a real fighter. Gervonta is a million times better than him, so he has to handicap Gervonta's skill by being a giant lab rat with a 65-plus weight advantage over him. This is a joke. This is a mockery to the sport of fighting. You know, the best are supposed to fight the best. Why is he fighting a guy that's, you know, in his last fight, Mike Tyson, who, you know, he's got a 40-year age gap between them. You know, why are you fighting a guy that should be in line for, you know, the early bird special, not fighting in a boxing ring, and Mike Tyson? Now you're fighting a guy who is, you know, tiny. He's a 130-pound fighter. You fight in the 210, 210, 220 weight range. So, you know, this is another joke in Jake Paul's career. You know, he claims to want to be a real fighter, but, you know, he's not taking the real steps to be real fighters and fighting, you know, top 10 guys and fighting the best guys in the world. You know, he fights, you know, these circus sideshows against guys that have no business being in there against him. So, you know, I guess this is the state of boxing. It's dead. UFC took over, and, you know, this is what you get now. You get this YouTuber who, you know, is on Lizzie McGuire, and he wants to claim to be a real fighter, but he doesn't want to fight real fighters. So, you know, I think it's ironic, though. Why would he hire a lawyer to sue people that say that his fights are fixed if they weren't, allegedly? So, I don't know. It's kind of weird. You guys do the math. Let me know what you think in the comments below.
Amir Khan has spoken out strongly against the proposed Paul versus Davis exhibition, calling it disgraceful and warning of the severe dangers involved. He emphasized the glaring mismatch, Paul weighing close to 200 pounds and standing 8 inches taller than Davis, who fights at 135 pounds. Khan argued that such a bout would be unlikely to receive professional approval due to the safety risks, noting that fights with this kind of imbalance could lead to serious injury. He also praised promoter Turki Alalshik for refusing to endorse these YouTube-style spectacles that, in his view, damage boxing's credibility.
On a guy who's obviously a lot heavier than him, but in an exhibition fight. What are your thoughts on this fight?
A really bad mismatch, and you know what? Whoever the promoter is and that's agreed Gervonta to fight, and whoever the promoter is to fight for Jake Paul to say fight this little man. I mean, that's wrong, man. I mean, that's just like torturing someone. I mean, going in there and hurting someone is just not fair on Davis. But like I say, you don't know what position Davis is in. I heard that he's been having a lot of legal problems and he's been arrested a couple of times for a couple of felonies and stuff I've seen with his ex-wife and stuff. So you know what? I don't know what's going through his head. Maybe he just wants to cash up and walk away from the sport. And maybe this is a great opportunity for him where he's seen this fight come up and he's like, fuck it, I'll take it. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think they're making boxing a joke, really. One day someone's going to end up getting hurt so badly then it's going to definitely destroy the sport.
Michael Bisping didn't hold back in his criticism of Jake Paul, labeling him a bully for repeatedly targeting much smaller opponents. He highlighted how Paul enjoys huge physical advantages, citing examples like the 60-pound weight gap and 7-inch height difference when comparing him to fighters such as Canelo Alvarez. Bisping argued that Paul deliberately picks undersized or less experienced opponents to pad his record, calling the practice embarrassing for someone claiming to be a legitimate boxer. In Bisping's eyes, relying on spectacle and size mismatches isn't real competition, but bully tactics disguised as boxing.
How can you be out there claiming to want to fight the best people on the planet and then going out there and taking on a guy that is maybe 92 pounds heavier, that is at least 65 pounds heavier than you? That is called one thing. That's called being a bully. It's like, dude, what are you doing? If you want respect from your peers, if you want everyone on the planet to look at you and take you seriously and give you credit as a boxer, you have to go against someone that keeps you up at night, against someone that gets you out of bed in the morning to go for a run because the fear of them beating you down is real.
Michael Bisping has consistently taken aim at Jake Paul for what he sees as calculated matchmaking. According to Bisping, Paul tends to pick opponents who are either undersized or lacking in skill, giving him built-in advantages. He's called some of these bouts little more than disappointing spectacles, pointing out that the weight and experience gaps take away from their legitimacy. At one point, Bisping even suggested Paul operates more like a businessman than a true fighter, relying on marketing rather than chasing genuine competition. In his view, Paul has built his career on facing aging stars or opponents well past their prime, instead of testing himself against fair and challenging opposition. KSI has also been outspoken, blasting the rumored Paul versus Davis fight as an embarrassment to boxing. He accused Paul of sidestepping a potential showdown with him and instead chasing easier matchups. For KSI, Paul's choices show a lack of willingness to face real challenges, fueling his frustration and adding to his ongoing rivalry with the YouTuber-turned-boxer.
Gervonta not fulfilling the rematch clause and just fighting Jake Paul and that whole situation and reaction of the fight itself.
I feel people I don't know, people got issues because it's 200 million mandatory, or either go fight for 5 million. It's a no-brainer. Like, what's a no-brainer?
A hard fight.
And we prize fighters. They prize fighters.
Right.
And the prize is big, and he's gonna retire soon. So you got 200 million right here, and you're about to retire soon, or either a $5 million fight.
Wait a minute. Kid said he disagreed. Why did he disagree?
I think it's just from a fighter standpoint. And on top of that, he got to draw. It's not like you won. Like you won and you gonna go fight Jake Paul. You got to draw, man. You got to go get that back.
Why? It was a cherry pick.
I mean, yeah, it was a cherry pick, and you looked, and you didn't
So
look
hold
good.
on.
So you got to.
I mean, look, with Jake, the guy's been ducking me or running away from me for so long, man. Like, he's just making excuse after excuse. And now he's fighting. He wants to fight Tank. I mean, it just says the type of guy Jake Paul is. He only fights someone if he has a major advantage. Anything that's close, or anything that could actually be a decent fight, he runs away from it. So.
British heavyweight Dave Allen, better known as the White Rhino, slammed the idea of a Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis exhibition, dismissing it as a complete farce and a waste of Davis's prime years. Allen argued that exhibitions should be reserved for retired fighters, not active champions at the peak of their careers. In his view, Davis should be chasing meaningful fights, such as a rematch with Lamont Roach, while Paul ought to prove himself against a legitimate cruiserweight. Allen accused both men of chasing paydays instead of sporting achievement, and made it clear he has no interest in watching what he considers nothing more than a money grab.
But he's never been punched by Ryan so we'll have to see.
He's training this fight, but fighting against real bears. This is true. People are going, no chance, no chance. Do you reckon this guy, could he be the toughest of your opponents so far? What do you reckon?
I don't think he's the best that I've faced. I've faced a few Olympic medalists, a few world title challengers, but I think he's probably the most dangerous. Maybe not the best boxer, he might not be the most technical, but he hits really hard, he's really big and strong, so yeah, I think it's the most dangerous task I've faced, but he may be not the best fighter I've been in.
Whereabouts is the fight, Dave? Where are you fighting him?
He's still at Sheffield Arena,
right.
Headlining in Sheffield, which is like my local arena, so yeah, it's a big night for me.
You won his last fight, didn't you, Dave, against Ricardo Brown, and 20 wins, 19 KOs he's got. So like you says, he is dangerous. How's the training gone for you ahead of this fight?
Yeah, it's been good. He's put a bit of fear in me, to be honest. I have had a bit of genuine fear. I've been stopped, but I've never been on the canvas ever as a pro or amateur, so... And I'd like to keep it that way, really. Yeah. I'm not on anyone's highlight reel. You see highlight reels, all the fighters I face, I'm not on any of them. And I'd like to keep it that way, so yeah, training has gone up a notch. For the Fisher rematch, I did weigh a little bit heavy, so for this one, if I cut any corners, there's a good chance I'll get beaten.
Some critics have gone so far as to label Gervonta Davis's decision to face a much bigger, high-profile influencer as one of the biggest ducks in boxing history. Instead of settling scores with rivals in his own division, Davis is seen as chasing a flashy payday, choosing spectacle over genuine competition. To many, the fight looks less like a test of skill and more like a calculated retreat from risk, i.e., money-first move that sidelines legacy in favor of exposure. In a sport where reputation and achievement often matter more than earnings, this choice has been branded the ultimate dodge. The massive size gap, paired with heavy promotion, makes the matchup feel more like a staged event than a real fight. Critics fear it diminishes boxing's credibility, risks unnecessary injury, and underscores how far the sport has drifted from its traditional values.
At the internet, we'll give it to you straight, no chase. In sports, Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul have a fight coming up. I ain't even gonna call it a fight, because it ain't. If Jake Paul's involved in it, it's a great acting job. You know Mike Tyson could have just knocked Jake Paul's motherfucking face into the canvas, but he got paid to pull punches, otherwise he wouldn't have got paid. I'm pretty sure the same is going for Gervonta Davis. It's a quick money grab. Man, most of y'all gonna be suckers who tune in. It's just quick money grab. That's all I'm saying. Ain't gonna be no fight. I don't give a fuck how big Jake Paul is. He can't take one of them little mother tank punches. Tank move furniture. Move furniture. Catch that motherfucking move furniture. And Jake don't like his furniture moved, so he gonna pay him not to hit him again. If you really want to show out Gervonta, sign a contract that you ain't gonna hit him, because if you hit him, you lose all the money. And then whoop that motherfucker's ass, put him to sleep, and get him out the boxing game once and for all.
Some observers argue that boxing is on life support, straying too far from its foundation of fair competition and pure skill. They point to the rise of celebrity bouts, lopsided matchups, and spectacle-driven events as evidence that entertainment has begun to overshadow the sport's legacy. Instead of showcasing elite fighters at the top of their craft, critics say, the spotlight is now being stolen by hype and showmanship.
Oh! Jake Paul is fighting Gervonta Tank Davis.
Chillaquillas.
Musty energy. Musty energy. Musty energy. Musty energy.
Oh, it's musty, and I say that respectfully. Per Mike Hoppinger in the Ring magazine, Gervonta Tank Davis, freshly off his domestic violence charges being dropped, will get into the ring with Jake Paul in Atlanta with a proposed date of November 15th. Lord child. Get your hand out of my pocket! Tank weighs about 135. Jake Paul weighs about 200-something pounds. So obviously this will be at a catch weight, and this possibly will not be a sanctioned fight where it will count on anybody's records. But I'm gonna tell y'all like this. Tank fans, you niggas down bad.
The hatred.
Musty energy.
You niggas is down bad.
What's your take on this matchup? Should Jake Paul step in the ring with someone his own size and skill level to finally prove himself? Or is this just the new reality of boxing in today's era of spectacle fights? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.